Okay, today I'm gonna have a little change of pace. There is a YouTube channel that I follow. It's called Nezeville. It's run by a lawyer or a Barrister Neze. Her shows are very spicy that I thought I would give her the space at the end of this video. I'm doing that so you could listen to other things we have. If you're one of those people who don't patiently listen, log out and miss. I also sang, so you better relax and listen to my singing. You're gonna love it.
Have you heard the gist? Have you heard the every? Or you are waiting for me to come and garnish it for you? Come and go the thing. Are you waiting for me?
Because as of from yesterday, men, really stupidly ignorant men, had already started going on about Senator Natasha's history. Well, I dare them to ask their mother if their mother doesn't have a history of boyfriends. And why does it matter? Why should we care what a woman's history is? The fact of the matter is, whatever your history is, it does not invalidate that experience that she is claiming at that time. Which is why we must investigate.
A man called Akpabio, destroyed by a woman called Akpoti. She know they play. Some say na because say she fine, no na lie, not be fine. The woman sabi her game, oh. She's a very good politician. Just go study her beginning for Kogi State, where he destroy all kinds of men as he come appear for Senate. Then they fear him for Senate because she good. And all those chauvinistic men, not they like women way strong. You see this Akpoti, she go teach them some lesson.
Tonight I think of my home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had.
Hello everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wankwa coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. Don't write off this lady called Senator Natasha Akpoti-AkpabioGate. This lady is a brand Nigeria has never seen. And I would like Nigerians to go and study where she came from Kogi State. Go and study how she got to the Senate. They did not hand it to her because she's a beautiful woman. To introduce this woman as a beautiful woman is an insult to Nigerian women that are fighting the system. Senator Natasha Akpoti's introduction should have nothing to do with her looks. Nobody cares how beautiful she is. We care about how powerful she is and how much she understands the rot that she started fighting in Kogi and is now trying to fight nationally in Nigeria. In today's episode, I'm going to bring you videos from different sources. Some will be fellow YouTubers that I think handled this whole thing better than I did. And a lady that's a women's rights fighter who kind of throws in her own sound bite. But I can't help bringing you an ignorant senator from Ebonyi State and the garbage he spewed on national TV against Senator Akpoti. A lawmaker, a chief whip of the Senate, talking like a street dog. And how can Senator Akpoti-AkpabioGate get justice in the Senate when what she has to deal with is this people like this dog in the Senate? Kick back, relax, and listen. I got a lot for you today. and I'm not holding back. It's time to fight bullies, not as gentlemen, but it's time to fight them as fellow bullies. Folks, last week's allegations of sexual harassment leveled against the Senate President, Senator Akpabio, by a fellow senator, Natasha Akpoti-AkpabioGate. I hope that it has awakened the awareness of the abuse that Nigerian women have been going on with forever. But more importantly, I hope that as the dust is settling, that Nigerian women, especially in the population that remains intimidated or bribed or brainwashed by chauvinistic men, to shut up, but even more embarrassing, to come out and embarrass and lie against their fellow women, to shut them up. I wish that what Senator Akpoti-AkpabioGate is doing is going to create more awareness and have more women come out. The reality is you can't change a society where we live a lie. You can't change a society where a segment of the society, be it a tribe, a gender, or a class, is being subdued by people who think that it's their place to run things. Before I bring you a woman that is in a position to talk about this because she leads a women's group, let me bring you an ignorant senator for you to listen to what he says. And that's when you'll see that we have the wrong people in high places. And it's time to find ways to replace ignorance.
Allow me to flow.
I will let you flow.
Allow me.
Yes. I'm just referring to the very first
I know.
paragraph.
I'm laying a background.
Yes.
When I'm for interview, allow the guest to flow.
By all means, go ahead.
Thank you. First and foremost, there is no issue between Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha.
For it, where, a lot of people are a little curious, are your choice of words. Because you say, if we take Saraki's argument to its logical conclusion, we would be establishing a dangerous precedent.
Yes.
One where any gold digger
Yes.
or habitual liar
Yes.
can throw out an unsubstantiated allegation
Yes.
and expect the Senate to come to a halt
Exactly.
while they are entertained.
Yes.
You are referring to your colleague
Yes, Senator
as
Natasha.
a gold digger
Yes, she is.
and a habitual
A
liar.
habitual blackmailer. I have facts.
Those are strong words.
I understand by it. Character is like pregnancy that you cannot hide. Your person as you are is what you are. And you show to the world whom you are. And the world will tell you whom you are.
But you say that all senators sympathize with the Senate president.
Yes, let one senator that doesn't know the Senate president come and say it.
Isn't that where the problem is? Because people have said that in this sort of situation, justice for her, assuming these allegations were true, are going to be very difficult to come by. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Yes.
Are going to be very difficult to come by within the chambers of the Senate.
No, ibi juis, ibi remedium. If you have no right, you have no remedy. If you have no right infringed, you have no remedy.
Folks, those are who your leaders are. That's the chief whip of the Senate, Senator Ebonyi or something like that from Ebonyi State. Talk about ignorance. He has evidence, but he's presented none. He's calling her a gold digger, but he has presented no evidence to this point to show that she's a gold digger. Let's assume she's a gold digger. A responsible senator would hold off on that damning comment until he goes to a court of law and present the evidence so that he can win or show his ignorance. That's who leads you. And that's why you can tell that Senator Akpoti-AkpabioGate was not given a chance in the Senate. to state her case, neither to a committee of fair-minded people, independent fair-minded people, or the courts. They denied her the courts. They denied her a fair hearing on a committee. And Nigerians are out there talking trash. She has 6 children by 6 different men. Bullshit. She doesn't. She has 4 children by 2 different men. And she had a child at 17 or 18. Is she the first? Maybe we should praise her for having a child at 17 out of wedlock and go on to become a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's an achievement, not something to be ashamed of. How many of those senators have children out there that nobody knows about? How many of them are married to multiple wives? And how many of them are ridiculed? It's time to stop the bullying of women in Nigeria. And let me bring you this woman, so you could hear her comments on the same topic. And when you hear her, I hope you think about your mom, your auntie, your grandma, your daughters, your nieces, your teachers of influence. I hope you think about all those important women around you and tell me if none of them ever multiple dated, and tell me if they married the first man they slept with. I'm sick and tired of the garbage that men spew.
We're now being joined by broadcast journalist and founder, Purple Women's Foundation, Ireti Bakare Yusuf, to have a look at whether women have done enough to seize the moment when provided, and if there's a need to begin to talk about new rules of gender engagement, even as Nigeria continues to fiddle with her nascent democracy. Good morning, and great to have you on the morning show.
A Nigerian sexual harassment epidemic. We do have an epidemic of sexual harassment, and that we need to declare a state of emergency because it really is that bad. And it takes a woman, a really courageous, intelligent, sharp, determined woman like Senator Natasha, an Amazon, to come out and say, it has happened to me. How do we get a really sort of fair and decent and trusted investigation? The Senate president has to stand down. There's no other way, because he cannot preside over a case that's actually where he is the named perpetrator, allegedly, right? He can't. So at this point, we need the Senate president to stand down.
We definitely need the Senate president to stand down. We also need the man hiding in Asha Rock to make a statement, because this is a Senate president he forced on Nigeria because he knows he's a fellow corrupt person that will protect his corrupt ways. The Senate president and the Senate of Nigeria did not give Senator Akpoti-AkpabioGate a surviving chance to show what happened and show Nigerians that their Senate leader is likely a serial sexual harassment offender. But for many of us who don't quite understand, let me bring in Barrister Neze, who you saw at the introduction, as she humorously gives us a lesson on Nigerian Senate 101. You must listen carefully. Yes, she's playing, there is humor, but listen to the genesis of the problem between Senator Akpoti-AkpabioGate and the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. This is where it started, even before coming out to accuse him of sexual harassment.
Our government bad though. They no one give gentleman job, oh. My God, oh, and if a gentleman no get to work, my brother, now how we go take survive? DJ. The Senate is headed by the President of the Senate, and the current President of the House of Senate in Nigeria is Honorable Barrister Godswill Akpabio. Godswill Akpabio is a former state governor. He was the governor of Akwa Ibom State from the year 2007 to 2015. He served 2 terms. That same year in 2015, immediately he dropped his cloak as governor of Akwa Ibom State. He moved to the Senate, representing his state, Akwa Ibom State, in the House of Senate. 4 years after, in 2019, after the end of his first tenure, of course, he sought second tenure, but he lost the election. Don't say "Eya," don't say "Eya," because that same year that he lost the election in 2019, he was immediately appointed as Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, and he served as minister from 2019 to 2022. Let us not talk about all the stories of the NDDC and everything that happened there. This is not a political talk. Maybe we'll have that in another video, but let us just skip that part. In 2022, he resigned his position as minister to further his ambition back in that Senate. There was something in that Senate that was sweeting him. He wanted to enter that Senate even more than to be a minister. Despite all the juice that was flowing in the NDDC ministry, he wanted back to the Senate. And so he resigned his position as minister and went back to contest as senator representing Akwa Ibom for the second time. And after he won the race as senator, he was appointed by his fellow senators as the president of the House of Senate, making him the 15th president of the House of Senate in Nigeria. Godswill Akpabio is a very powerful man in Nigerian politics. Now that you have all the background story and all the history of this our senior daddy, this our senior bros, Godswill Akpabio, let us enter into the latest kasala, the wahala, the kwanta. Are you ready? Are you ready? This whole kwanta first started with the deliberation whether a market in Abuja that was gutted down by fire should be rebuilt with government money or not. Now, on the 12th of June this year, only last month, a popular market in Abuja called the Card Market was gutted down by fire. Shops were destroyed. Goods worth millions were engulfed in the flames, reduced to rumbles, and trust the fire service to exude the greatest form of incompetence. The truck that was available had no water, and by the time a truck came much later, most of the damage had already been done. Sources of income, sources of living extinguished. Years of labor and investment put out in the blink of an eye. Traders, businessmen and women wailing and weeping like children. Senator Ireti Kingibe, who is the senator representing the FCT, raised the motion in the House on behalf of the people of Abuja, whom she represents. She said,
on the Cairo fire outbreak and the need for safer public places, I urge the FCDA and Abuja Municipal Area Council to offer the shops when rebuilt to the victims at a subsidized and affordable rate in order not to disenfranchise the original owners of the shops. I so submit.
Seemed like a fair and brilliant idea, doesn't it? But the Senate President was not having that.
So why do you use government money to build community market, maintain the status, and hand over to the community? So what I'm saying in the sense is that the prayer is faulty, but is anybody who wants to second this?
A legislature who allegedly allocated 2.9 billion naira to purchase vehicles for the presidency. That's over $4 million. A legislature which allegedly approved 4 billion naira for renovation of the president's quarters. That is over $5 million. I use allegedly because I'm not quite sure of the exact figures, but it's something in the neighborhood. So if you have the exact figures, you can drop in the comment section. The same legislature, oh my God, that allegedly approved almost 38 million US dollars to acquire a presidential yacht. Hey, now phonetics I do yacht, yacht, yacht. Despite the country is grappling with rising debts and a cost of living crisis, that is the same legislature which the president of the Senate does not consider it worthwhile for it to help the suffering masses rebuild a market, not to help them restock their goods or anything, or give them capital to go back to business, so just to assist them rebuild a market that was gutted down and destroyed by fire. Chai! Rich man go de holla prayer, mutupe. Poor man go de cry, I wanna more. They could not lead us well. No let this nation to fall inside well. Mr. President, lead us well. If you be senator, senate am well. If you be president, president well. If you be police, police well. No, they take bribe. We don't suffer. A few right-thinking senators may have been surprised, alarmed at the head of the Senate's standpoint on this subject. But one senator, Senator Natasha Akpoti, a senator representing Kogi State, was bold enough to stand up and voice out. She said,
Sir, I stand and I speak to second the prayer as amended by Senator Ireti Kingibe. If your question has to do with the disbursement or the utilization of government funds in rebuilding a community market, sir, the people are the government, the communities are the government. So it's like the people using their money to their own advantage. So I stand to second the motion as amended by Senator Ireti Kingibe, sir.
Now, this incident of the Karu market rebuild was the first that brought discontentment to the minds and the hearts of the people. People began to whisper and notice that whenever ideas were coming from women in the house, they felt like the Senate president downplays it, like he has this mocking, mischievous laughter and smack around his mouth, like who is this thing? What's this one talking about? People began to hold the opinion that he kind of has this disregarding nature whenever a female senator opens her mouth to give her idea in the house. But there was one coming that was going to break the back of the camel. On this fateful day, not far away from the first incident, this same senator, Senator Natasha, was proposing a motion that our internal waterways be developed. She presented that one basic way of decongesting and unburdening the roads was to develop other modes of transportation and to synchronize and harmonize them. According to her, this will bring development and also avert road accidents, as well as improve generally our transport system as a country.
If we develop our internal road network, internal waterways, that would actually unburden the roads and will now even save and avoid accidents. So what I'll propose, sir, is instead of having it named the National Road Transport Council, it should read the National Transport Council of Nigeria, whereby innovations and other means of transportation can be harmonized. Our waterways, our rail networks are all designed independently and not in a coordinated fashion. So we would love a situation whereby every aspect of our transportation is looked into and developed by deploying the most modern, innovative ways. So, sir, that's my submission.
Anyway, I've heard from those in support and those not in support. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay.
Now, at some point during the deliberation, it seemed as though one of her points were taken out of context. And she spoke up, which is not new in the House. If you watch the proceedings of the House, you would know that once in a while during deliberations, senators do speak out that way. So Senator Natasha spoke out to correct a notion that was being misinterpreted. And this is what's happened. This is what the Senate President of the country had to say.
Mr. President, we don't want it to be killed. We just want a bit of modification. We don't want the bill killed, but it should be slight modifications, sir. It's a necessary bill.
The Senator Natasha, in the chamber, you have to be recognized before you speak.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, we are not in a nightclub. The name is serving.
Now you see how the Senate President kind of laughs condescendingly when he's talking to the female senator. That's one aspect of it. The other one, and it's not just the Senate President, it's a whole lot of people in Nigeria calling her Senator Natasha. Her name is not Senator Natasha. And it's part of the belittling. Her name is Senator Natasha Akpoti-AkpabioGate. That's her name. She should be given the same respect that Senator Akpabio is given. Nobody calls Senator Akpabio Senator God's will. These are the little fine details we have to fight. Not women have to fight. We progressives that want to see everybody and every tribe respected, we have to pick on all those little things. And then the final thing is even on Senator Natasha Akpoti-AkpabioGate's side, I have one critique. She shouldn't refer to Senator Akpabio as sir. He's not her sir. They are equals. And those little things that women do in Nigeria is the reason men take you for granted. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir, my foot. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Rise early at sunup, we'd go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms, and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown, sometimes a little later.